It's Mailbag Monday here on CHGO Blackhawks. Could the Blackhawks land Quinn Hughes? We'll talk about it, but first, a Rockford IceHogs report from our pal Dana Gray. That's next on CHGO Blackhawks. Hello, I think we're here. Welcome into CHGO Blackhawks. The gerbils have gotten into the computer. Things are on fire, but we're fine. We're here. It's Monday. It's cold. It's December. Where else would you rather be but talking Hawks on a cold Chicago Monday? Thanks for being with us. Sorry for the late start. We're going to get right to things. Like button, subscribe button, Cyber Monday, all that great stuff. We'll get to all of it later on in the show. But we have a guest standing by, so we want to make sure we get right out to our guest. I like this fancy title, Manager of Communications and Broadcasting, and IceHogs broadcaster, and the person who does everything for the IceHogs. It's Dana Gray. Thanks for joining us, man. How are you?
I'm doing well, guys. Yeah, that title is I don't want to say it's the best part of the job, but basically it's wearer of all hats, hand out giveaways, put teddy bears on seats coming up Saturday. So but yeah, broadcaster is probably my favorite part of that.
Yeah, that's the most fun, but you gotta soup up the title. It's like when
Oh
I
yeah.
worked for
Oh
the
yeah.
Oak Lawn Park District, I was a lawn maintenance engineer. What did it mean? I cut the grass, but I was a lawn maintenance engineer. That's what I did.
I would have that on my placard for the rest of my life. That's
I do.
phenomenal.
My parents have a framed photo of me riding a lawnmower, so that's how
There you
proud they
go.
are of me. So there you go. There you go. Well, we wanted to bring you
That's
on.
fantastic.
We've been keeping a very close eye on the IceHogs, and two guys in particular, Nick Lardis and Kevin Korchinski. And let's start with Nick Lardis, who had 2 goals and an assist in last night's game. He's got 22 points in 20 games. I think there was a little bit of, I wouldn't say doubt or concern, but wonder if he'd be able to translate the scoring pace he had in Brantford when he turned pro. And looks like scoring has not been a problem for Nick Lardis.
No, I would say so. And I totally hear you with the, not the doubt, but certainly the question mark. I think it's become less of a question mark with guys translating really strong success in the college game to maybe the AHL. I think that's dumbed down a little bit. But when it comes to juniors, yeah, you don't really know. And he has quickly put that to bed. He did early on in this season. He's got 22 points in 20 games. He's scoring in different ways. He's leading all AHL rookies and some really talented young guys in scoring, goals, power play goals. The points are all great. And it's great to see. But I think what's impressed me the most is he seems really confident even in the D zone as well. We've talked a lot with head coach Jared Nightingale in the first month about watching Nick in the defensive zone and trusting him to be out there in important moments late in games. And even just last night, it was a 2-1 game. We were in Milwaukee with about 3.5 minutes to go. And Joachim Kemmel for the Admirals, who is a really top, probably one of the top guys in the Predators system. He's a really flashy skater and shooter. He tried to make a move at the blue line, and Lardis was all over it, made the defensive play, and then went 150 feet down the rink to give the Hogs some insurance. So he's made a lot of little plays like that, which excite me. And then, of course, the pure scoring too is a lot to be excited about. He scored a goal yesterday, which I'm sure you saw, which was maybe 2 or 3 feet off of the goal line, in between that and the bottom of the circle on the power play with a one-timer. So he's shown it a lot in a lot of different ways, and I've really liked his mindset about it too. Ever since day one he came in, he acknowledged the 71 goals, and he said, "Put that to bed. Let's see what I can do here." And he seems pretty comfortable so far.
I think when you see a guy scoring goals like that goal you mentioned last night, and go find it, everybody. It's all over the interwebs. And I think the director of manager of communications and broadcasting tweeted
Yeah,
it
come
out
on.
from the official account. That's when you see a guy score a goal like that. It just to me it tells me how confident the player is and how much they believe in their ability to score. You know who takes that shot a lot too? Connor Bedard. That is a very common Connor Bedard shot along the goal line, just knowing he's got the accuracy to do it. It looks like I don't think confidence has ever been an issue for Lardis, but to see him thriving as much as he is this quickly is really impressive. And I think it starts – the question kind of began, I would say, last week when the Hawks were sort of slumping and goals weren't really coming. 1-0 loss to the Avalanche. People saying, is Nick Lardis on his way? I sort of pushed against it because I didn't love the idea of him coming in to try to be the savior of a losing streak. But now that you beat Anaheim and he's got another 3-point night, I don't know. I'm not so opposed to it as I was maybe 48 hours ago.
Yeah, I'll tell you the first thing that I thought of when he scored that goal last night, not to make too many comparisons, but Frank, when he was here, when Nazar with the IceHogs, he played 24 games. He got called up, I think it was like December 4th or 5th of last year. So right around this time. And the last game that he played with the IceHogs, we were in Lehigh Valley. He put up 4 points and he scored this goal from pretty much the goal line where he sniped it from the far side. A pretty similar play, not a one-timer, but the certain type of play of saying, yeah, I'm really comfortable and confident in this league. I can take this shot and I can score. And it's kind of the first thing that I thought of when Lardis scored that goal last night. Not to say that I think he's going to, get called up this week or that's the right move, but it's the same sort of mindset that I remember watching Nazar develop over a couple of months that, I can not only play at the pro level, but I could kind of dominate. And it's been fun to watch that transformation with Nick. And I guess not even really transformation because that's kind of been his mindset and effort from the jump.
Yeah, it's a growth that you want to see a guy, especially in a rookie season, be able to do when he's making the jump from juniors to the professional game. And we saw that with like you said with Frank, and I think going back one calendar year ago, the Blackhawks organization was in a much different spot where basically calling Frank Nazar up, it was after Luke Richardson had been fired and things were not going well. It was kind of like that was a moment in the season where it was like a shift in the direction of the organization. And I think we're in a lot different of a spot now this season with Jeff Blashill. Seems like he's very stable and got the team going in the right direction. And the guys on the roster have been relatively healthy. They haven't been knocked out with a lot of guys going down, knock on wood. And the forwards group, like the way that they've set up, they've kind of had an abundance of forwards to play with. So you're not really necessarily at a spot where you desperately need someone to come up. So I think it's good for Lardis that he can get to that spot where you see him playing the way that he is, shooting from that spot, and being able to score. Like you have that confidence, and you're able to allow him to continue to grow with that with this team. And the point you made earlier about not only his shooting ability, scoring ability, but also being able to play off of the puck, being able to play defensively. That's something that we have heard since Jeff Blashill got here, that is something that he's focused on wanting to instill, the winning hockey, the winning habits and all of that. And we've seen how a lot of players, specifically Connor Bedard, their defensive game and their style of play has developed this season. I think even more than could his 71 goal pace translate to the pro game. Even more than that is, could his style of play off of the puck translate and develop to where you finally see Nick Lardis become this more well-rounded player? And I think that, to me, has been even a little bit more impressive than a guy being able to score and play offensively like he has.
And I think that's the great thing about the situation that Lardis is in here, in the American Hockey League, is that he's getting not only top minutes, he's getting lots of different situations. Rockford's kind of had an up and down season. I'd say it was a really great start for the first 8 or 9 games, couple of overtime wins, and kind of pulling their way out of a little bit of a slump, but a lot of close games. So he's getting all these opportunities to get ice time in important situations. And I remember Charlie and I were chatting with Kyle Davidson at the Prospect Showcase, and I asked him, what do you tell a fan base when, at this point, we didn't know who was going to make the Hawks out of camp. What do you tell the fan base when a guy does get sent to Rockford to start the year, or for however much time? How should they look at that? And should the alarm bells go off? And he really bluntly said, like, almost every single player who's going to get to the NHL needs the American Hockey League or can benefit from it. It's a fantastic league. It's incredibly skilled. It's a great balance of young talent, veteran leadership. And I think that, if however long Lardis spends here, what I think Kyle and the rest of the management and the group here in Rockford has proven that they're not just going to call guys up, like you were saying, to call guys up or, push them into places that are going to make them uncomfortable. This is the long game through and through, and it's working really, really well. I'd say so far. I'm biased, but I'd say the path is being followed quite nicely, and I have no reason to think they're not going to continue that trend with Lardis too.
So you're right with that. And you mentioned Frank Nazar. Frank Nazar's first game last year with the Hawks was December 14th. That was when the call-up happened. And he was almost to the point where it was a little bit different from Lardis. For those that maybe are jumping on this year or weren't really tracking it, he was kind of maybe expected to make the team last year and then didn't have a great preseason. Then went down to Rockford and dominated and really could not be held back anymore. Lardis, I think it's fair to say, is dominating, but it was not really in the opening night plans. I don't think really at all. I think the plan was always for him to begin things at Rockford. I wonder if, despite the fact that he is performing similar to how Frank Nazar performed, if the preseason plan has any sort of impact on when he'll be called up. Because, look, if they were to do it tomorrow, it would not be the biggest shock in the world based on how Nick Lardis is playing.
No.
But like you're saying, they are going to be patient. Every player is different. They have different expectations for every player, and they're working on things with every player that we're not really privy to that information. Kyle Davidson doesn't talk that much, and when he does, he's not overly specific about, we want Nick working on A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But at some point here, if this pace continues, they're going to have to give him at least a look. And I don't know if it's going to take an injury, let's hope not, or some kind of scoring slump, but to think about him on a line with Connor Bedard and Andrei Burakovsky, even for a handful of games, is very exciting.
Yeah, I think that he's been playing with great players here too. I'll give a quick shout out to Brett Cini. He's the Rockford captain, who is tied with Nick right now for fourth in the American Hockey League in overall scoring. They both got 22 points. It was Cini who was in between Lardis and Moore before Oliver was called up. So he's a guy that I think is just invaluable to the organization as a whole, that can not only keep up with the skill and talent and speed of youngsters like Lardis and Moore, but also show them the ropes, the responsibilities, certain D zone coverages. Where are you going on a 6-on-5 face off? And you're like, little moments like that I just think are so valuable. But going back to what you were saying too about the different things that Lardis might be working on as far as what the organization is hoping for him. One of the really cool things about, being here with the IceHogs is I get this front row seat to all the different members of the Hawks that, take the drive on a weekly basis, whether it's practices, whether if it's, Brian Campbell coming out to work with guys in the D, or Chris Kunitz out there on the ice. So many different. Mark Eaton will, make his trips, and obviously was very close with us last year. But they keep a very close eye and have fantastic communication. I know Blashill and Jared Nightingale have a really good relationship. So despite Lardis being here, it still feels like, the Hawks as an organization have their eyeballs fully on him and, bolding him in the way that they want to too. So I think that goes a long way in making sure that he's primed and ready for when that call up does come. Because like you were saying, Mario, like I've just noticed it from just watching the Hawks, like the habits and the D zone structure and those little, tendencies that have maybe shifted this year make such a difference. And they want to make sure that all of that is translating here in Rockford too.
All right, we are up against the break. Danny, can you stick around for a few minutes so we can talk Korchinski?
Yeah,
Great.
absolutely.
All right, we're going to take a 2-minute break. If you've not done it yet, and a lot of you have not, shame. I'm shaving the carrot. All right? Hit that like button. Thank you, Dana. See, Dana knows the game. Hit that like button. Subscribe to YouTube page. We'll be back in 2 minutes with more on Kevin Korchinski and the IceHogs on CHGO Blackhawks. Our friends at Sunnyside Dispensary are here to elevate your football season. It's already pretty elevated, but it can get even more. Sunnyside's your home for judgment-free shopping. They've got a massive selection with over 100 different strains to choose from with easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Check out my favorite brands, the Good News and the Mindy's, the Counting Sheep. I don't sleep well. I do now. Counting Sheep, Sunnyside, thank you very much. You are my heroes. Wherever you are in Illinois, Sunnyside has a location for you. They have spots as far south as Champaign and as far north as South Beloit, which is very confusing. But South Beloit is north in Illinois.
That's true.
Weird, because Beloit is even more north than South Beloit. I looked that up.
Yes.
Stop in the store nearest you for expert guidance from their staff. Head to their website for Bright Buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases with codes HICHGO at checkout. Returning customers use code CHGO50. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Dispensary. Bright Buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois Med card holders.
And we're not allowed to play round ball rock, but CHGO Sports is teaming up with Loyola Basketball this Saturday, December 6th at 1:30. Join us for Loyola and Princeton at Gentile Arena in Rogers Park. Come out and see us and support Loyola basketball. It's the Joy at Gentile holiday game, perfect family event with an appearance from Santa Claus, holiday music, a halftime baby race, prizes, and more. What more could you need at a basketball game? Go to ramblertickets.com to get your tickets, and when you go there, use the code CHGO, and you're going to get $5 off your ticket. Ticket prices starting as low as $15. So again, go to ramblertickets.com. Use our code CHGO for $5 off your ticket. Go out and see some good Loyola basketball. See them beat those preppy Ivy Leaguers at Princeton.
Baby race. All right, we are back on CHGO Blackhawks. Want to give you a quick heads up, by the way. It is Cyber Monday here at CHGO, and we've got our biggest Diehard deal of all time, $26 for the whole year. That's 67% off. See what they did there? You still get your free shirt. You still get your merch and event discounts. You still get access to all the Diehard content and Discord. $26 for the year. Jump on it, and that will also give you access to our Cyber Monday sale. You'll save on that. It is a no-brainer if you've been on the fence about becoming a Diehard. If $36 is not cheap enough, how about $10 more off, $26 for the whole year, your first year, and you still get the free shirt. So basically, the shirt's free or the membership's free. However you want to look at it, something's free, $26. Do it, allchgo.com/join.
We're basically paying you to be a diehard with the value of the shirt that you get for free and how much the 1-year membership is.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know how you can get a better deal than that. Earn yourself $10 and become a CHGO diehard.
All right, Kevin
That's
Korchinski.
Podcast math right there.
Yeah, there you go. Love that. Korchinski's been good too. Let's see, I got in 20 games, he's got a goal, 13 assists. I know he's been getting a ton of ice time, tons of opportunity. What have you seen out of 14 this year?
Just more and more comfortable and getting those top line, top D pair minutes, quarterbacking the top unit of the power play. That's where a lot of his points have come from too. And I think just comfortability with the puck in all different areas. Not to say that he wasn't last year, not at all. I was really impressed coming in, watching Korch, and thought he handled, spending his rookie season in the NHL, and then you get sent to the AHL. That could be a weird thing to get used to and to swallow, honestly, just with the rules that prohibit guys from coming to the American Hockey League at that stage. But I've been really impressed with him. Obviously, the points are great, but I just think that he looks super sturdy and comfortable on the back end. With that trio of Korchinski, Del Mastro, I think has been fantastic this year. He put up almost 40 points in his rookie year. and then came in last year, and I think the Hawks told him, we want you to play a more defensive style of play. And we were chatting, last week, and it seems like this third year for Del Mastro has kind of been the combination, putting it together of he's earning more points, he's jumping up into more plays, but he's also still playing really good lockdown defense. So that's been cool to see from him. And then Nolan Allen as well is as physical as ever. He scored Rockford's first shorthanded goal last week, which was an absolute thing of beauty, and he's known for punishing guys. Yeah, and he's been getting it on the score sheet too. So I kind of look at it as that three-headed monster, which Korchinski pacing the way as far as scoring, and all guys that I think, whether it was tomorrow or next week or whatever, could be consistent, successful NHLers. And they're also young too. I can't believe Del Mastro's 22. The confidence that he has out there on the ice, the plays that he will make as far as, spinning guys off at the blue line and, hanging out. There were a couple shifts yesterday where he spent maybe 30 seconds below the attacking goal line, getting coverage and making plays from there. And I think that's a pretty good sense of someone who is feeling good with their game. So they're all so young. They're all getting great minutes. And I think they're all trending in the right direction, which is crazy considering the Hawks are playing with, seven defensemen. Like you were saying, there's a lot of 11 and 7. So it's a logjam, but probably a good problem to have, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the similar situation that as we were talking before about Nick Lardis, is that there's really not a necessity to bring up anybody yet because of either, long-term injury or because of poor play at the NHL level. So you give a lot of those guys some more time to continue to play in the AHL. And, the point about, their youth is, I was just about to bring that up to you. It's just we saw Kevin Korchinski right away. And it was okay, he's here alongside Connor Bedard, and you got really excited for the rebuild and all the youth coming in. And then you saw, he's 19 playing in the NHL, and not every defenseman is Matthew Schaefer. It takes time for defensemen at that age to grow both in their game and, the physical maturity, the mental maturity of the game. And I think we've seen that with Korchinski, and you mentioned Del Mastro and Allen as well. So when you get to that point in the season where, maybe there is a necessity, whatever reason, to bring up a defenseman, you're going to feel confident whoever they pick. Do they want to bring up Korchinski because he's the most offensively gifted and his game is rounded out? Or do you bring up a guy like Nolan Allen or Ethan Del Mastro because you need someone to be that defensive stopper in the lineup? I think you have more confidence having those guys now had time to play 18 to 20 minutes a night in the AHL and be in those situations for 100, 200 games, whatever it has been professionally for those guys. They get to that point where now they're more well-rounded as defensemen. We always point to, Duncan Keith needing time in the AHL and time. Him and Brent Seabrook playing extra time in juniors in college before becoming full-time NHLers. It's similar with what we're seeing with these guys in Rockford.
I think the patience definitely pays off with the three of them, and specifically Korchinski. Another thing I'll mention too is I know it's kind of a similar situation in Chicago, but certainly here in Rockford, that so many lefties that all of these guys are getting different rotations playing on their strong and weak sides, which may seem like maybe that's just a hockey nerdy thing that I only care about. But I think that is valuable and shows, that translates at all different levels, especially that, it's been quite frequent that Del Mastro and Allen have been paired together, and Korchinski's been playing with Kevin Fitzgerald. That top 4D is all lefties and all rotating around. So they're not only playing a lot of different, situations, but it's also a trio as those three guys that have played so much hockey together, and with a lot of the guys that are up top too right now, as well. So that whenever they do get slotted or where, there should be all the confidence in the world that you have that built-in chemistry. They've played with Levchinov, they've overlapped with Vlasic. There's a lot of relationships to hang your hat on there.
Just see, as the manager of communications and broadcasting, you probably go through all the group computers in a computer lab there in Rockford, I'm imagining, and a lot of search results for Connor Murphy, Matt Grzelcyk trade rumors from Ethan Del Mastro and Nolan Allen and Kevin Korchinski, because it's got to be difficult for them because they're stuck. Like they're kind of stuck because they are already playing 7. Louis Crevier has been a revelation this year that no one really saw coming. He's played every game. He's played well. And it's got to be, for those guys, a little bit disheartening to say, boy, we thought that this was going to be the year we're here. And you've got 2 guys out of nowhere in Crevier and Grzelcyk that were not in the plans, a month before the season, really. I mean, Crevier was, but he was we all thought he'd be the 7th defenseman, sit out most nights, rotate in once a week, whatever, so he stays fresh. Now he's been a guy that Jeff Blashill can't sit. And Matt Grzelcyk has been, analytically, their best and most consistent defender. Yeah. So it's gotta be frustrating, but I hope they know that the time is coming for them, because eventually these guys, it feels like all 3 of them are certainly part of the long-term plan for the Hawks. It just has to be a little bit frustrating to see guys getting called up and not getting their opportunities.
Like I said before, I'm biased, but just getting to interact with those 3 guys specifically on a day-to-day basis, they could not be, have stronger mindsets and, good heads on their shoulders about, 1, just wanting to play wherever that is. But 2, I think to your point, they understand the bigger picture here. They've all gotten tastes of the NHL. They've all succeeded at the NHL. And I hope at least that they know that they will in probably a short amount of time. I think Del Mastro played his best hockey last year in the NHL, even for some of them, with a guy like Del Mastro and maybe Nolan Allen in a sense. This isn't a bash at the AHL as a league at all, but there's some players, Levshinov, honestly, as an example, who I think the NHL benefits them more. I don't want to say I was surprised when I saw Levshinov go up last March and look really comfortable, but he looked better than he did in Rockford. And I think that's because just the overall talent and structure is obviously more, consistent when you're playing in the NHL. Not to say that guys are just giving each other gifts and, crappy passes down here, but it is elevated. And I think for all 3 of them, they've proven that they can play at that level, and it's a short matter of time probably for it to come to fruition again. And it's a good problem to have. How many NHL teams or systems would trade what the Hawks and IceHogs have in a heartbeat? I don't know how many organizations feel better that maybe aren't in a chance to go out and win a cup in the next 3 years as far as depth and even what's coming too. So, all that to say, from the big picture standpoint, there's a lot to feel really, really, really good about, I think, too. Same thing with the goaltending. You got to feel the same way with Comesso and even Berezhnoy, the Russian kid that they signed a little bit out of nowhere over the summer. He's come in and looked pretty solid too. So really good problems to have for sure.
An embarrassment of riches the Blackhawks have down there in Rockford. And yeah, I mean, I can't imagine too many other organizations have 3 defensemen on their AHL team that you'd be like, yeah, they could play in the NHL right now
easily.
and probably wouldn't lose much of a step. It's a big testament to how Kyle Davidson and the front office has laid out this rebuild plan and how it's benefited. The IceHogs getting to the playoffs the last couple of years has been really good to see, and putting those young players in those environments where you have games that matter, you have playoff experiences, that's pretty valuable for them as they then move up eventually to the NHL level. We see those 3 defensemen have all been through that. Alex Vlasic went through that. Levshinov, like those guys have played in those moments, and that's been pretty big for them as they've had opportunities to play in the NHL as well. I did want to touch on, you did mention the goaltending situation. Drew Commesso has been playing really well. It kind of feels like, I know when Spencer and I got here, things changed a little bit of the thought for his timeline. It sounds like the plan for Laurent Brossoit when he is healthy would be to get some time in Rockford. How do you feel like that may play out with the starts for Comezzo, as he's had the majority of them this year, and how the goalie room will handle that if and when it does come to fruition.
Yeah, I think that, if it does happen, I doubt it's going to really hinder Comesso's playing time. If anything, I would kind of assume that they would try and keep things as even as possible. He's been really, really good. He's kind of just carried over the play that he had to end that last season. He just had a great end of the regular season and rolled into playoffs, and he's kind of just picked up where he left off. And when I came into this year thinking, okay, this is the year that Drew can play a full pro year at the level that he knows he can play at. And so far, so good. Like, I think he's got an even record, and he hasn't really been helped out a ton in some games offensively, but he's certainly kept the Hogs in every single contest. He's such a great battler. I was reading I think it was Ben Pope's story yesterday on Spencer Knight, and so many similarities between Comesso and Knight. And I know they have obviously a really good relationship, but we were getting off the plane in Texas last week or something, and Drew had the long red light mat, the same thing that Spencer Knight's been using. And I think, I don't know Knight, but I know that Comesso really over the last year has, I think, altered his mindset on how he's taking care of his mental health and his body and his recovery. And he's really obsessed to it in a good way, in a healthy way. And I think it's put him in prime position that, whenever the NHL consistency time comes, I think he's proven that hopefully he'll be able to rise up to that test. I think it was great for him to get in, even for the game and a period that he did last year, just to get a little sniff of it. And whether or not that happens again at some point this season, it seems like everyone in the organization is super happy with him. And like, selfishly, he's such a good guy. He's incredibly kind. He's a pain in the butt for like post-game media, because I'll try and get him to answer literally anything about his own success, and he just deflects onto the team in front of him. And he's also got really good relationships with that trio of defensemen that we were talking about, which is not a small thing. So I've been super impressed with him, and we'll see what happens with Brossoit as well. But I have no doubt that just watching how Comesso's handled every situation over the last couple of years, that he would totally take that in stride. And, if anything, he's probably going to try and learn from the guy if he gets the chance to. And that's kind of just the teammate and the person that he is. So nothing but good things to say about him.
All right, Dana, you've been super generous with your time, man. We appreciate it very much. I'm sure we'll catch up down the road as news warrants and as we want to. We like talking to you. Do what we want. It's our show. Thanks, Dana.
I enjoy it too. Good to be with you. Hey, live show in Rockford, All-Star Weekend.
Let's go.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Yes, let's make that happen.
All we need is a table and an outlet and Wi-Fi, and we'll be there.
I'll give you
Steven?
2 outlets.
Ooh,
And Steven has to go. He said. All right, cool. Wow.
All right, and Steven.
Big time.
Good to be with you guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, Dana. Thanks a lot. Make sure you're following Dana on Twitter at DanaGray0. That's Gray with an E. Grey. The first letter is an E.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just clarifying. Grey.
Gotcha.
He is once again, got to give him his title, Manager of Communications and Broadcasting. Mm-hmm. Very fancy stuff. We love it. All right. We're a little bit late for a break. We're going to hit it. We good? I see the spinny wheel of death. All right. Here we go. We're hoping.
Here come those
Stay
ad
tuned
breaks,
to see
everybody.
if the ad break loads. Aura Frames is the answer to every holiday gifting moment. Never struggle again to find the perfect holiday gift. Got an Aura frame for my mom. It's the best. Preload the photos. You can upload them in real time and they just appear on the screen. It is magical. It is the perfect gift for a parent, a grandparent, the toughest people to buy for. Historically, it's science. You get unlimited free photos and video. Just download the Aura app and connect to Wi-Fi. You can preload your photos on the Aura frame before it even ships, and you can keep adding them from anywhere at any time.
That's convenient.
It's awesome. For a limited time, Save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using promo code CHGO at checkout. That's auraframes.com, promo code CHGO. This is exclusive to our listeners, so they'll sell out fast. So order now to get them in time for the holidays. Terms and conditions apply.
Love the Aura frame at our house. Also love that it's super easy for athletes and coaches to get connected to elevate their games through Eye on the Ball. If you're serious about leveling up your game as an athlete, the right coach can make all the difference. Finding one is easy with Eye on the Ball. It doesn't matter if you're a kid just starting out or competing at the top levels. You can sign up totally free at eyeontheball.net. You create your profile and you search through coaches in your sport, connecting you directly with the one that's right for you. From soccer to swimming, baseball to basketball, football to hockey, you name it, the coaches are out there. So what are you waiting for? Your future coach could be one click away. Jump on today at eyeontheball.net. That's eyeontheball.net. Find your coach and take your game to the next level. Be the next great athlete.
And we are back on CHGO Blackhawks, and it always seems to happen this way. When we are about to reach a milestone of YouTube subscribers, we are on the air. We are, what are we now? 19 away.
19 away
from 95,000 YouTube subscribers.
That's a lot of YouTube subscribers.
That's really good. Let's hit that subscribe button if you've not already. If you don't know, YouTube is run by Google. And if you have more than one Google email account, that means you can access YouTube from several different accounts. So make sure you subscribe and like from all of your Google accounts every show. But let's get to 95,000 before the show ends. I'm confident we can do that.
We can do it.
I'm
sure there's 19 of the 260 plus of you watching right now that haven't subscribed and should, because this season has been a ton of fun. And thus, the shows have been a ton of fun this year because the team is winning. It's been a lot more fun. Connor Bedard's been a lot more fun. Just the Blackhawks in general have been a lot more fun. And we want to have fun together. Have a fun community around this Blackhawks team.
Fun is fun. And you know what? As an added incentive, if we hit 95,000, we'll bring out Noodle Man.
Hey, there you go.
He's not set up.
Steven
will, on camera,
we'll figure it out.
Set up Noodle Man for us if we hit 95,000, which Pip Hastings points out is the population of Elgin, Illinois.
Really?
Well, what about South Beloit?
95,000 in Elgin?
I don't know. I just believed. I read it on the internet.
Elgin, Illinois. Population.
All right, shall we go to the mailbag?
Ooh. It says 114,000.
Oh. Well, let's get to
Let's
that.
Let's get to 114,000. Let's go. 20,000 of you. Let's get on it.
Then we'll do Noodle Man twice.
Yes. Every 20,000 subscribers.
If we get to that many. All right. Chloe, are we ready to go with the mailbag?
Mailbag.
As soon as it loads. All right.
There we
fire
go.
It off. There we go. T-Hawks29 says, who makes the biggest impact first? Lardis, Frondell, Boisvert, or Kancerov? This is actually, not that I'm not surprised it's a good question, but it is a good question. It's more of a thinker than you think.
It definitely is. I think recency bias, that we just talked about him for about 20 minutes, would say Nick Lardis. And I think as far as the closest to making an impact, it's Nick Lardis, because Frondell and Boisvert, you're likely waiting until March or late March, early April, where they have the opportunity to join the organization. Kancerov looks like he's going to do everything in his power to make sure that his KHL club is playing well into the playoffs. So he's probably a next season most likely addition. So I think the most recent, or the closest guy to making an impact is Nick Lardis. I think the bigger immediate impact might be Kancerov, for the fact that he's probably the most developed pro.
Sure.
If and when he does play in the NHL, I think he might make the biggest, most immediate impact, but the guy closest to it is Nick Lardis. The good thing is all four of them, if and when they get to be, playing in the NHL regularly with the Blackhawks, is they are predicted to be impact players. Frondell, Boisvert, Kanserov all look like guys that you could put into your top 6 once they're like fully developed. Even Nick Lardis, you can make that case as well. Like he could be a guy that could push for top 6. And you already have Frank Nazar that is a guy like that. You have Connor Bedard that obviously is a guy like that. And you throw in the additions of guys like Burakovsky and Bertuzzi and Tavo and Oliver Moore. And like, we have too many guys to fit into the top 6. That must mean their third line is going to be guys that could be on second lines. Like it's a good problem to have that we're talking about all of that. And it doesn't sound like a pipe dream like it actually, or a reach. Like it actually sounds legitimate that those guys, if they get close to their expectations or reach their expectations, that you're in a situation like that.
Well, Lord Hosta says Kanserov having better pace than Kaprizov, Tarasenko, and Kucherov, I have a feeling is going to come over the most ready. I think that's right, because I think the word impact is important to that question, right? Because I think Nick Lardis will be in the NHL first, because I think there's a chance that he plays in the NHL
this season.
He could play this calendar year for a handful of games. Who knows, right?
Yeah, right.
So, but in terms of being a guy that is dependent on, because I think you could still argue, I think Oliver Moore has been good. I think last night he was really good. But is he an impact player every game? Probably not yet. He will be. I'm confident he will be. I think a guy like Kanserov, and I would say if I'm going through rankings, I think Frondell, if he comes next year, is another guy who I think you could start and expect production from immediately.
I mean, he's already doing it professionally in Sweden in a limited role.
Well, and a lot of people are, and this is something we can get to maybe on another show, we can get to it briefly here, is like, Djurgårdens is not really, they've been scratching him a little bit, and they've been limiting his minutes a little bit. And the Hawks, he is signed by the Hawks. He is on loan to Djurgårdens. So technically, if the Hawks don't like the way they're developing him, couldn't they just say loan is over and call him back?
They could. I don't think that they plan to do that. I think the plan that Kyle Davidson is kind of laid out as we got through, the draft and prospect camp and getting, as we approached training camp, we thought, would Frondell be here for training camp? But it was very clear, like, his focus was playing this season in the SHL, being ready for playing for Djurgårdens, and I think the Blackhawks are very okay with that. I think that they're just like they were very supportive of Mason West playing football and waiting until now to focus on this season of hockey and everything. I think they're very comfortable with letting Frondell play this season in Sweden and doing it with his childhood club, and also knowing that, like, teenagers in Europe in the professional leagues don't always, even if they're arguably some of the best players on their team or most impactful, they don't always get the minutes that you'd expect, because I think those teams operate as like, well, we're not development grounds per se for the NHL clubs. We might have guys that are young players that are drafted to NHL teams and will eventually go there, but we also operate as we have guys that are just here in Sweden, and they're helping us win as well. So it's kind of this back and forth kind of balancing act where, you want to play your those young guys, because if they're playing well enough to deserve the ice time, you give it to them. But you also aren't just saying like, okay, Blackhawks, you want Frondell developed, we'll give him top line, blah, 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 this just because you have him as a prospect. Well, there's other there's clubs that have prospects from all different NHL teams. They can't do it for everybody. So they have to operate individually. So I think while it is kind of weird that one of your best players in Frondell is not getting more opportunity, more minutes, I think that kind of comes into play where they're like, just because you're a good prospect doesn't mean we have to play you those ways.
Yeah, and the KHL,
not that it's right, but it's like that's just kind of the politics of it.
And historically, the KHL where Kanserov is playing does that too. But Kanserov's been so good that they can't really do that.
And he's been with that club for a few years now. Like he's not. It's not like it was Demidov, right? That was like, hey, I know I'm going to the NHL, and they're like, okay, you're not going to play for us. You go play for another team. I think it was he SKA
Yeah.
And then they loaned him to one of the other teams, one of the lesser teams. And it was like, oh, yeah, he's putting up like point per game numbers because they're actually playing him. Like, it made sense. So
What a concept.
yeah, teams will operate that way. But I think the plan is, even if it's not like optically looking great, like why is he playing as the 13th forward and all this stuff, the plan is I'm certain going to be him sticking with that club for the entire season, because it means a lot to him. And I think the Hawks are okay with that. They're not in a position to need to rush anybody to the NHL in their prospect system right now. Like, the way that things have gone, they're in a spot where they're not necessarily like in panic mode with any of these guys.
Yeah, I'm checking on the standings here of the SHL. Djurgården is 5th.
Yeah,
out
they've
of
actually
14,
been.
so they are in playoff position at the moment.
They've actually been better than I think expected, because they played from they won the relegation playoff system to get up to the SHL. They were in the second tier league last year, so that's another reason why Frondell really wanted to play, is because it was just like he helped get that team back up to the major leagues in Sweden. So he wants to see it out.
All right, we got a couple more mailbag questions we're going to get to today. We are going to hit the break zone first, though, because it takes us a good 5 minutes to answer every question. So we're going to do that now. Last break of the show, we promise. Thanks for getting us over 100 likes. Let's get over 95,000 subscribers. We're about 15 more to go. And Noodleman will come out. Talk to you in 2 minutes on CHGO Blackhawks. What kind of dreams did you have when you were a kid? Maybe don't answer that. What did you want to be when you grew up? I wanted to be a podcaster.
Oh,
and
look
gosh
what you
darn
did.
it came true.
You did it.
How about now? Think about starting your own business. I have another little side hustle you may have heard of, the I'm Fat Podcast, and we sell merch. And Shopify is the e-commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the United States. Shopify even powers our CHGO merch store, so go get yourself the hoodie here. I got a hoodie on. Mario's got a hoodie on. Go get it. Shopify has you covered with website creation, product descriptions, email and social media marketing, and more. They also have AI tools designed to help you maximize sales. If you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn your big business idea into money with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/allcity. That's shopify.com/allcity.
Money. And all that money you make, you can buy Shady Rays sunglasses. They are the ones that make sunglasses the cool thing to wear, even in winter. You don't want snow blindness. Shady Rays changes the game. Sunglasses made for real life. Seriously good-looking, polarized, durable, and not stupidly expensive. The best part is, if you lose or break them, even on day one, we've all been there, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair. No guilt trip, just replacements. So now we all can wear our sunglasses without fear. You can wear them on hikes, at concerts, on the boat, wherever you are. Can wear them on the slopes too. Shady Rays is eyewear that has your back. We've teamed up with them for a long time, and they're bringing you an exclusive offer. You go to shadyrays.com, use the code CHGO. You're going to get 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
All right, we are back on CHGO Blackhawks. Thanks for sticking with us. That is the last break, we promise. And now we're going to go back to the mailbag. You ready?
Dig in there and find a good question.
Holy Lord.
Ooh, that's a two-parter. There's a couple two-parters in
All right,
this mailbag.
all right, we can rattle through this pretty quick. I need that screen bigger though, Chloe, because I am an old man.
So this is from
Mario. You take this
Warm
one.
Bedard's, our newest link to homemade beef jerky.
That
he
was
says
good.
it's delicious.
Thank you.
From Elliot Friedman. The Hawks gave Brossoit permission to seek a trade. He also said Edmonton wasn't interested in rocking the boat, and we're just going to stand pat for now, so they're probably not an option. Since the man hasn't played in a year and a half, where do you think he could end up? What kind of return would the Hawks be looking at? A late-round pick, a reclamation project, or everyone's favorite player, future considerations? Let's answer that first before the second question.
Yeah, just right now, before you get angry, temper your expectations on a return for Laurent Brossoit. if it was reversed and the Hawks needed a goalie and they gave up any sort of real asset for Laurent Brossoit, you'd probably be a little bit pissed. Maybe a late round pick, probably future considerations. The Hawks are probably just trying to look for whatever the best opportunity is for Brossoit himself to have a chance to play in the NHL again. And we talk about this a lot, and I think fans can get frustrated by that. Like, they should just hold out for the highest bidder. And yeah, normally you want that to happen, but these things were veteran players like Laurent Brossoit. When they get respected, you saw the same thing with Pat Maroon and Alec Martinez. They could have traded those guys, ended up keeping them. That was their wish. That stuff gets around the league. Agents appreciate it. Players appreciate it. And it helps build a big reputation and a good reputation for when it is time to add a free agent. Chicago's got a great reputation for the way they treat players. So I think you're going to get very, very little for Laurent Brossoit. And I also want to add in, too, there's a lot of people saying, well, they should trade Arvid Soderblom and just have Laurent Brossoit play. The guy's not played hockey in 2 years. We have no clue what he's going to get. Is Soderblom perfect? Absolutely not. He is a fine backup, a replacement level backup. If you were to trade him now, I think you're doing some major damage to your goaltending depth. And if you really don't like what he's doing, Soderblom, as the year goes on, you call up Drew Comesso and have him back up Spencer Knight the rest of the year and go from there. I just think you get Brossoit the best opportunity you can and say, sorry, it didn't work here. Best of luck.
Yeah. The report with the Oilers is that they're not going to make a move that is lateral in the goaltending spot if they are going to make any kind of move. So if Laurent Brossoit comes back, plays a conditioning stint, and gets 4 shutouts in the AHL or something, then maybe the Oilers are like, is that an improvement from Stuart Skinner? Who knows? But yeah, I think if you, probably. I think if you're looking at what to get from him, he's got to put 2025 and probably 2026 game film on. You can't look back at the end of 2024 as the most recent game film and say that guy's worth something after being out for 18 months with multiple surgeries and a history of injury problems in his lower half of his body. So, I'm not thinking that this is a bidding war situation. We'll see how it plays out, and I think it's more. I think the organization likes Soderblom still. I think that he's on the books for this season and next. 26 years old, not very old for goaltending standards. I think they're still happy with him and what he's been able to do, and you say that knowing Spencer Knight has been wonderful, as advertised.
And just real quick, PJ says Vegas and Edmonton need goaltending, and they'd both be desperate.
And those are both places Laurent Brossoit was before.
Yes, and Laurent Brossoit is probably not going to solve their goaltending problems. All that does is create more cap space on their cap. Neither of those teams that have Stanley Cup aspirations are hitching their cup aspirations to a guy who's not played hockey in 18 months.
Yeah.
It's just not realistic. It's not a realistic approach. They're already very much up against the cap. Even if the Hawks eat half of Brossoit's deal, which they probably will, because why wouldn't they? If they're going to add goalies, those two teams especially are going to want to add people that are more proven and have played, in the current presidential. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a way to put it.
It's been a really long time since Brossoit's played.
It's talking about landing spots. I'll throw one out there. Detroit. They
have 19 goalies. What's one more?
They don't have a good one.
They sure don't.
So that's a team that I think if there's a desperate team, maybe Anaheim. I think it depends on how long Dostal is actually out. I think he's just like a 2 to 3 week thing, if I remember correctly. But Detroit, I think that's an organization that was at one point leading the Eastern Conference and are right now out of the playoffs. And both their goaltenders are under 900 in their save percentage. So if there's a team that's desperate, that could be like, let's throw something at the wall and see if it sticks, that could be a team.
I'm trying to see if there's any sort of update on Mrazek's injury. Not yet. We'll see.
That's
all right,
true.
Let's finish off that question. Let's get to the Quinn Hughes part.
Yeah, this is what we we banked the first 54 minutes on the show on.
Yeah.
No, go back to
Same
Warren
one we were
Bedard's
on.
question. There we go. Second part. Also, while it's most likely just someone throwing darts at a dartboard of landing spots or just trying to stir up clicks, I have seen some Quinn Hughes to Chicago possibilities on Twitter. We all know the brother thing, but do you think he would ever decide to come to Chicago? And for kicks, what would you be okay sending back to Vancouver for him? Also adds, next time I'm at a game, I will be burying a Korean barbecue jerky.
Ooh,
that's something
sweet.
to look forward to.
Sounds good.
Yeah, with Vancouver basically saying everyone's available, it only fuels the Quinn Hughes trade rumors. If you want to read into his body language, seems like he's ready to leave Vancouver.
He looks pretty checked out.
And yeah, with his brothers Jack and Luke playing in New Jersey, the opportunity for the three of them to play together in New Jersey does sound pretty enticing to probably not only the Devils, but the NHL as far as storylines go. But to entertain the idea of him coming to Chicago, it helps them reaching the cap floor for the next couple of seasons. It obviously helps them on the defensive side of things. Quinn Hughes would step in. He's your number one defenseman. Alex Vlasic's role on the left side gets knocked down a peg.
Yep.
I think if you're, and it's funny, we were just kind of talking about this during the break. Yesterday was the 20-year anniversary of the Joe Thornton trade in 2005, where he was traded from the Bruins to the San Jose Sharks, and in that season was the MVP. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So to think about players that are at that elite level, Quinn Hughes is at that elite level, and trading for them, it's going to take a boatload to get him, make it worthwhile for Vancouver, because Vancouver doesn't have to move him if they don't want to. But I think he wants to, and I think that they're primed for a rebuild. So if you're talking a Quinn Hughes trade, it is picks and top prospects, which, as we've been glazing the prospect system today on today's show, they have plenty of picks and prospects to choose from.
Yes.
That you probably would say, if you're getting Quinn Hughes, it's okay to give up X, Y, Z.
Yes, there's probably no team more equipped to make a deal for Quinn Hughes than the Blackhawks. Crap ton of cap space, a ton of high-end prospects.
Yeah.
So how about anyone other than Bedard would be on the table, I think, if the Hawks wanted to do this?
Yeah.
Levchinov, Renzel,
Because
Korchinski,
think about
Nazar.
think about Quinn
all
Hughes.
Those names are in conversation.
Coming to this roster. How many players is he not better than? Zero. He's better than Bedard. I
Right
think
now he is,
in this moment for the impact, yes. Could Bedard be better than him down the road? Maybe. But if you're trading for a guy who's immediately going to be your best player, like, it's going to take a lot.
So there's a couple things here too. If I'm even considering this as a Hawk, because look, he's 26. When the Hawks are ready to compete for cups, he'll be 29, 30. Which
whoa. If you add Quinn Hughes, that accelerates the cup contention window.
Yeah, but you're also losing a piece or two as well. You're
Maybe.
probably losing a Frondell. You're probably
Who hasn't played in the NHL yet.
Sure, but you're losing someone that you're counting on to get them there quickly too. So you might have to trade Vlasic. You might have to trade someone with some NHL chops to make this trade happen. So I have to know it's not a rental. It's not for just the next 2 years, this year and next, and then he hits free agency. It's got to come for me with some assurance that he's a Blackhawk for the next 7-8 years, at least, if I'm even considering moving these prospects. Quinn Hughes is great. He's already won the Norris Trophy. A lot of people have said, look, if you're going to give up these kind of assets, you do it for a forward. I agree with that, but a guy like Quinn Hughes, much like Cale Makar, is almost like having a forward on defense. So that's helping your offense. That's helping Connor Bedard. That's helping everybody. Mm-hmm. I need assurances. And I don't love the fact, and someone mentioned this in the chat too, there's been a lot of drama in Vancouver the last couple years, and he's been the captain of that team. So am I putting that all on Quinn Hughes? I'm not. And I'm also seeing a captain on a team that is struggling completely checked out on the ice. It's December 1st. They're not that far out of things.
Yeah, but it's his whole career in Vancouver.
Well, you know what? Sure, but like, you're a professional. Like that, I have concerns about that. I'd have to do a lot of research because if you're talking about giving up as much as it would take to get Quinn Hughes, I have to know he's in. I have to know that he's patient. I have to know that he understands the situation because you are looking at, you've done all this work to get all these prospects and develop this talent, and now you're going to give it up for one player, which I'm fine with because as we discussed with Dana, there's only so many roster spots you can have on your team.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know. I have to have 100% certainty about his commitment to the Hawks and his commitment to, frankly, being a leader and being a guy that can be counted on the team. Like the way he's acted the last week or so, that is a big red flag to me. You have a C on your jersey. You cannot act that way. We are going to go to overtime, by the way. So if you're watching us on the fast channels, be it your Roku, your Samsung, whatever, switch over to allchgo.com where the conversation will continue. It is a huge risk. He is a great player. He makes the Hawks instantly better. I think if he was to join the Hawks this year, you could realistically start talking about playoffs for this season. But there's a lot of things I've seen from Quinn Hughes that concern me. I would do so much research, talk to everybody I could. Hey, call Lucas Reichel. Hey, Lucas, I know you've got 1 point since joining the Canucks, but what do you think of Quinn Hughes as a leader? I would pick every brain I could to make sure it's the right thing to do. And I have to know it's coming with a contract extension. Basically agreed to.
Yeah, so I agree on the extension part of things, because if you're doing this type of deal, you don't do it for a season and a half. And he would be eligible for an extension. Let's say in this hypothetical situation, Blackhawks acquire him. He would be eligible for an extension then this upcoming July 1st, because that'll be him entering his final season of his current contract, which runs through the end of next year. You would have to deal with him and Pat Brisson and someone who the Blackhawks organization has a lot of history with.
Yeah, Kanan Taves' agent, among
Seth
others.
Jones as well.
Yep.
So I think you would have dialogue that would be in good faith about that prior to making a move of this magnitude. So yeah, that's a huge consideration. I'm honestly not worried about any situations going on in Vancouver to where that's going to carry over to Chicago. I don't think that that's a Hughes thing. I think that's a Canucks organizational problem. They've had issues like this for years, whether it's JT Miller or Brock Besser or Evander Kane or Elias Pettersson or Quinn Hughes or whoever, you name it. For years, there have been issues with that organization that Connor Bedard seemingly can't wait to get to. So I'm not necessarily laying that on the shoulders of Quinn Hughes. It is something that you endure as a captain and have to. Yes, there is some responsibility to that, but to me, that's not necessarily like a red flag of would he carry Vancouver's junk to Chicago. I don't see that being an issue for me. It's more or less, yes, is this a 1.5 season thing, or is this going to be you're coming to Chicago because you see what is building here, and you see what guys like Connor Bedard and the future have in store, and where the arrow is trending. I think it's for me. If I was in Quinn Hughes' spot, I would think long-term extended window for success is opening for Chicago, even with the potential guys that they would have to give up to make this type of deal. I think you still have enough for Chicago in the prospect system and currently available to you that you would say, yeah, there's still plenty of here that you're building a winner with, that you're building a contender with, that would entice a player like Quinn Hughes to be like, this is a team, this is an organization I could join elevate to playoff contender and cup contender status and do it for my prime years of my career. New Jersey's still a team that's very good too. Yep. And his brothers are there. So, like, all signs point to that being the case. But the case for Chicago, I think, is very, very strong. I don't think it's just noise. I don't know if Kyle Davidson would deviate from his plan, but I think Quinn Hughes is a guy worthy of deviating from the plan for. So, again, it's still very open to conversation, but I don't think it should be off the table whatsoever for the Blackhawks.
No, I don't think so either. I want some things answered, and I think, look, like, this is part of the reason you draft and gather assets the way Kyle Davidson has is for situations like this. So if a guy like Quinn Hughes or Connor McDavid suddenly becomes available, if Edmonton's like, we're not going to be able to resign Connor McDavid, we have to get something for Connor McDavid. The Hawks are very much, because if you're getting rid of Connor McDavid, you're rebuilding.
If you're Edmonton, yeah.
You would think, right?
Well,
because you still have Draisaitl.
I mean, you get rid of the best player in the world, arguably. 9 times out of 10, yeah, that's the sign of things are over. But
they have the number 3 or 4 player in the world.
Yeah, but you have Draisaitl. So it's just like it's kind of like where they were with Gretzky. You got rid of Gretzky, but you still had Messier sitting there.
Yeah.
I
It'll be interesting.
At least those teams won cups.
Yeah, I'm down with starting the conversation for, especially when you look at the landscape of free agency and how just guys are not really going to reach free agency anymore, at least for the next few years. This is the time when Davidson has to start considering moves like this. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Quinn Hughes is exactly the guy, but the concept of the guy is very appealing to me. Yeah. I just have to know a lot. And someone asked, like, Eli says, can a team be sure about that extension? Would a pre-contract be legal? It's not legal, but these things are almost always like, hey, look, we can't sign it yet, but we're in agreement. We make this deal. We will be signing with you long term. Mm-hmm. These are the terms. And you'll probably know that number right away. And then as soon as it's able to be signed, you sign it and just knock it out. So those things happen all the time. So
if I'm looking at the carcass of the Vancouver Canucks, a guy that I think is more realistic and going to cost you a lot less, Connor Garland.
I would love Connor Garland.
I think he'd be great for this team. Kiefer Sherwood as well, but Kiefer Sherwood, the price tag is reportedly a first-round pick plus. I don't know. I don't know. We're talking about first-round pick plus for Quinn Hughes. Is Kiefer Sherwood a notch or two down from Quinn Hughes? I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't.
In terms of player?
In terms of player. I think he's a couple notches down. He's not 1 or 2 notches down where you're talking, if Quinn Hughes is first round pick, Sam Renzel and someone else. Is Kiefer Sherwood first round pick and Nick Lardis? No. Not for me.
No.
I don't know. Anyways.
Nope. That is not something you do. All right, we're going to wrap things up. We did not get to 15,000.
Not yet. We'll pass it off to...
No participation trophies here.
Bulls?
Lock in.
Bulls next? Who's next?
Yeah, Bulls are next.
Bulls. Pass it off to the Bulls.
You know that Peck's going to throw hats and break TVs until you hit that number.
He sure
hit that
will.
number. Maybe we'll let... No, they can't use Noodle Man. He's our property only.
Yes, trademarked.
Sorry.
Just like Mailbag Monday.
All right, tomorrow, Hawks and Golden Knights. Carter Hart in goal for the Vegas Golden Knights.
Sure.
8:30 pregame. Be here with us, and hopefully we're talking about a big Hawks win late night. By the way, tomorrow is our Big Brothers, Big Sisters Day of Giving. So reach into those pockets. We've got some incentives for you.
Yes, we do.
During the show, we'll do some stupid crap for your money for Big Brothers and Big Sisters. That's what we're all about here, stupid crap. We'll talk to you at 8:30 for the pregame tomorrow ahead of Hawks and Knights on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.